Hello everybody and welcome back to a computer science tutorial. This is section 6 video 2, and today we're going to be talking about arrays again. And as you see, everything's about the same, so we're just going to jump right back into it. So here's our array script, and what we will be doing today is we're going to be discussing the other kind of array that you'll be introduced into. Now, Unity has like 6 or 7 different array types, but we're only going to be talking about 2. It is the built-in type, which is right here, and the JavaScript type, which is the one I'm about to show you. So we're going to make this JavaScript type in the code, and it's going to be known as a temporary array, because what we're going to be doing with this JavaScript array is we're going to quote-unquote resize, but not really. What we have to do to resize this array is that we'd have to run this line of code again. But as you saw before, if we run this line of code again, it deletes all the information inside of our object, which is a problem, which is why we have this temporary array. In the temporary array, we want to make a new array, and notice the type is a blue type, which means that it's a type of array. It's a special type of thing. And this type, we want to input the data from the numbers array that we have above, and now we have this array, and we can do a lot of things to this array. For example, if we wanted to add something, we could do this thing called push, and since it's an integer array, we're going to push it and we're going to add 3 to it, and then we want to save it back in the numbers, the original numbers built-in array, because those arrays are much faster. What we can do is we can do the numbers will equal the temporary array dot to built-in. This is a Unity command. It's very useful, and it's going to be of type integer, because that's what the integer array is saved as. And if we go back and run this, you'll see we're going to get a warning, one more than we already have. And this warning is where is it? This one. Okay. This warning says that, warning, implicit downcast from system array to int array. Now, in our case, we have a workaround around this problem, so we don't worry about it. But in Unity's case, they're like, you don't want to do this because, well, you're losing information when you reinterpret this array. Because we lose the ability to do these commands, so we're losing functionality. And so Unity wants to warn you of that. But you see, we can continuously convert between the two, so we're not really worried about it in this case. So what we want to do is we want to add a preprocessor command known as pragma downcast. Yes, there's more than just pragma strict. And this will alleviate this error in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, now it's gone. We only have this Boolean expression error, which it's not an error, it's a warning. And now if we were to run this, it would do absolutely nothing because we have no way of seeing what it does. So we're going to write a quick for loop, variable x, and it's going to be of type integer, and it will equal 0, and while x is less than the numbers dot length, and we're going to add 1 to x every time, so it'll eventually end. And we're going to do the numbers, and we want to call something about the x spot. Let's just call it in a debug thing. And if we were to run this, now we could see when I click 1, our numbers array gets a little bit bigger, and when I click 2, it's going to display all the elements. And voila! We can also do some other things. You can shrink the size of the array with the command shift Just be aware of, however, if you shift an array that already has 0 elements in it, you'll get a game engine error, which would be very, very bad. So you want to be weary of that. And there's plenty of other commands that you can use. If you go to the Unity forms, you'll see I have the scripting not the Unity forms, the Unity scripting AI. This is the arrays script API, and it has many, many, many other things. We use push and shift. Push just adds a value to the end of the array. Shift removes the first element. You could do upshift to add one or more elements to the beginning. There are plenty of things you could do with this. But that's what we did for now. So now that we can do these wonderful things, it gives us the ability, say if you were to have an inventory system like the one I'm about to show you, it's very, very easy to understand. I take the inventory system, I think I take it a little further. This one, okay. So, you see I have some other things, and we can actually delete these. And now, we're just going to read through this together to understand it. Now, you won't be able to understand everything in it, but for the most part you should. So the first thing we do is we are going to declare a transform array, because transforms are easier to work with than game objects. And we set up a space, and then we set up a static. This is a static variable. I haven't taught you this before, but what a static variable is a variable that doesn't change. So I set it once in the inspector, and it's never ever going to change. And if I don't set it in the inspector, I set it right here, and it's going to be this object. And on this update function, when we click E, we're going to create a raycast, and this raycast just checks whatever's in front of us and sees if it's an item. And if it is an item, we send to the debug log that we're running it, and then we run this function called pickup, and we send it the object, the transform, hitmark.transform. And if we go back down to this, what we do is in this pickup items, we check to see if our inventory space.length is less than our max space, because if we have so many items in it, we can't grab it or so. And then we just run this temporary item code, and we input the item. If you don't remember, this is how you have parameters in your functions. Don't have variable before them. It doesn't work. And we send it back, and we reconvert it to inventory space, because those are faster arrays, and they also take up less space. And then we also do some not peacekeeping efforts. We do some collections efforts on the actual object itself to make sure that it's not showing and that it's going to move around with the player, so that when you reactivate it, it'll reappear. So now we have this here. This is the removing. It's the exact same code, but in the opposite. And we use a for in loop, which we're going to discuss next tutorial, to check which item it is. So now this is what it does, and our functions are on E and F. F is to drop things, and E is to pick them up. Now, I do not denote a way of, in this case, I don't denote a way of deciding what you're going to drop, but for now, it will just drop everything in your inventory. And so now we have all these things, and they're all there, and you can pick 3 things up right here if you're close enough, which is the wonder. We also have a floaty sword right here, which you can also pick up. And if you can catch the floaty sword close enough, there you go. This gives me an error because what I should have done for the disables functions is when I disabled these components, I never checked if it actually has all of these components, which is a problem, because if it doesn't have these components, you'll get a exceptions error, which is bad, but it's not the end of the world in Unity, because Unity does a very good job of dealing with it. But that's it for now. Next tutorial we're going to be talking about those for in loops, because those are extremely useful in arrays. So I'll see you guys next time.